To politics now, Johannesburg Mayor Mpho Phalatse is today embarking on a service delivery campaign in the south of Johannesburg. This despite the no-confidence motion could be hanging over her head. Could this be Phalatse's last official engagement as mayor? Well, reporter Pule Letshwiti-Jones is in Lenasia and he joins us now live to tell us what the executive mayor is saying. Pule, our understanding, of course, is that this motion will be tabled on Friday and that she could very well have only a few hours left as executive mayor. But what is she telling you? Is she confident?
Well, as far as we understand, she's now, of course, engaging with various stakeholders in the community, some ward councillors, public servants, and of course others who are delivering services to the community members, such as nurses. She's made it quite clear that, despite the challenges in council, she'll continue to ensure that she accelerates service delivery. Of course, this amid some of the remarks that have been made by the minority parties, which say that they want to table a motion of no confidence against her. But as far as we understand right now, this motion may be tabled later this month. On Friday, council will debate the loan, the 2 billion loan, which could possibly be passed during council. And that's as far as we understand. But particularly so, this could also be one of her last engagements as she now begins to prepare for council work and some of the administrative work of the city as the executive. Right now, she has embarked on this walkabout in Lenasia, of course, discussing and speaking to some various public servants in this area here, where they have been detailing some of the poor service delivery issues that are impacting their services and that are essentially frustrating community members as well. And from as far as we understand, she was visiting this hospital, a clinic rather, local clinic in Lenasia this morning. But the mayor has been, of course, embarking on this walkabout, trying to ensure that she speaks to the issues of the community members in this area. Perhaps we can just take a listen to what she had to say earlier on when she was addressing some of the community members.
Colleagues, we know the political tremors of the last 2 months have affected the morale of officials at the Metro Centre and the regions. Therefore, on this, I want to say to you, regardless of who leads the executive, the residents still depend on you to live a life of quality and dignity. Political leaders come and go, but you, the officials, are a permanent and important feature of the functioning of Johannesburg. I cannot expect you to ignore what happens in council, but I want to encourage you to show up to work every day in service to our residents. Your work is too important to slow down due to what happens in council. Noting that your contract is with the city and its residents, not with us as politicians.
All right, Pule, quite perfect for her to actually go to a local clinic there, especially in Lenasia South, where we've seen violent protests. She is a doctor, so that would be one of her strong points. But how has she been received by communities, patients, and even nurses and doctors there?
Well, she's basically tried to outline what are some of the challenges that have been affecting them, such as being under-resourced as well at this particular clinic. This is one community that has also been, quite outraged by poor service delivery. Which, remember, Eldorado Park was one of them which had an issue as well. But as we are here today, these are some of the councillors who are serving in the mayoral committee who are joining her this morning on this program that's taking place in Lenasia. I've been trying to look for the mayor for quite some time because we were, of course, with her during the walkabout. We just wanted to ask a couple of questions as to what she anticipates in terms of what me and you spoke about, Masiko, earlier on, in terms of that motion of no confidence which is looming, which the minority parties say that will be coming her way. It's been quite a difficult journey for her, I must say, particularly after what we saw in the city of Ekurhuleni. Many saying that this is a very same issue that could particularly happen in the city of Joburg, whereby we could potentially see the DA retaining power if the EFF does not work with the ANC in the city. So I'm just going to apologize for the shaky visuals for now, as we're still trying to look for the mayor and particularly speak to her regarding some of those questions, because we're being told that we will be receiving the opportunity to speak to her, but it seems as though she's disappeared right now, and we have been trying to track her to ask those questions regarding the program of the day in council and what she anticipates and regarding her future as the mayor of the city of Joburg.
And I saw, the picture you were showing us, Pule, in terms of all the DA council members who are accompanying the executive mayor. One of those was the former speaker of the city of Johannesburg, Vasco da Gama. He was ousted just a few days or weeks before Phalatse. We haven't really heard much from him ever since that morning. Has he said anything to you? Have you had a conversation with him about what's been happening in the city of Johannesburg?
Well, we just had a handshake with Vasco da Gama earlier on. We were just talking in terms of how he's feeling. He's been distancing himself for quite some time from the administrative work of council. And he's obviously pledged his support for the multi-party coalition government. But I can tell you right now, I've got good news. I've tracked the mayor. After a couple of minutes of looking for her, I had lost her when we were still interacting, Masego. And my colleague, Lingen Dabambi, is just trying to rush to hear what she's actually saying and as she's engaging the committee members about what are some of the things or remarks she's sharing. Just maybe if you can give me a minute or two, and let's just dip in and take a listen to what she's saying.
2 months.
Yes.
Why does it take 2 months to just fix those other issues?
The last time you were here, what was outstanding was the entrances. So the taxi operators had requested us to widen the entrances, this one and the one at the back. So all of that work has been completed. But now they've come up with additional requests, mainly on that side. So I can show you on that side, the structure was not part of the scope of works. So they want us to repair some of the damaged roof sheets on that side. So that's the only thing that's outstanding.
And can you not commission it in phases? Do you have to stop this side because of a new requirement on the other side?
So what's happening, the taxi associations, they usually have some of their concerns and so forth. So that's additional work that needs to be done. So we need to go back to procurement to include that work, and that's why the delay that we're talking about. So that's going to happen.
Is it part of the new facility, the work that you are referring to? The work that you are talking to now, the additional work, is it part of the new facility?
So MMC, the facility is not new. This is an existing taxi rank. So we're doing refurb work on it, mainly addressing the roof structure because the roof sheeting had been damaged. So most of the damages were mainly on this side, and there were minor damages on that side. So what we did, all the roof sheetings that we had removed from the side were reused on that side. So you would see that the steel structures were not painted on that side because it was not part of the scope of works. So the taxi cars are saying, no, if you've made this side look beautiful, you have to do the same on the other side. But that was never part of what we had planned to do initially. So the challenge we have now is that the trust deficit between us and the taxis looks like it's a problem. That's why they don't want to move in until we've repaired those things, because they think that if they move in, we won't do the repairs. Okay. Because our argument has always been that it was not part of our scope of works. So what we're hoping to do is that once the contractors start, we can then demonstrate to them that the repairs will be done and request them to move across.
Is it the same taxi association that are operating on both sides?
Yeah.
Same one.
So essentially, the work can be, the facility can be operationalized now. It's essentially that matter that they don't want to move in before we're also done with that additional scope their side.
Maybe we need to engage MMC. Yeah. Maybe we need to get MMC to engage transport, MMC Transport and MMC Valenda to work together to talk to them. Because it looks like there's a demand from the community councillor for this to start operating. Let's find a way.
So Executive Mayor, if I may ask the CEO as well as yourself, the problem that we're having is that prior you starting the project, right? My question is that you knew what had to be done. and some of the repair work that you referred to was part of the project. So I cannot understand for the communities, on behalf of the community, as well as the taxis, as well as the informal traders, that what is a delay that takes 3 months. And this project, according to the emails that I've sent and I've received, it was supposed to have been finished in June. Originally, it was supposed to be finished in November last year. There should be absolutely no reason from the city side to have excuses for any whatsoever reason, because in your scope, you would have consulted with the taxi association, with the informal traders, and you shouldn't be having these type of glitches to affect the whole community and the whole taxi rank, including the informal traders. And we're still sitting with the same problem despite so many emails. We don't receive any response. We don't receive any correspondence. We don't receive any communication. I think it's on the city side. We must admit, and we must do something to ensure that this taxi rank doesn't take another 2 months. We don't see the need for it. We see immediate engagement for this taxi rank to get sorted out, and hence I'm very glad that the mayor has come out today to understand the cry of the community. They're up in arms. Trust me, everybody that's standing here is extremely concerned of this particular taxi rank that is just standing idle. You are costing the city money by this project standing with so many millions, standing the way it is. It's costing the city millions.
Councillor,
yes.
I'm not defending the MMC and the CEO.
Yes.
When scoping was done,
Yes.
they were not yet in the picture.
Okay.
So they are fixing what went wrong.
Yes.
And from what I can see, they're doing a good job, of
okay.
it.
No, I appreciate that.
Yes. So let's work with them. Let's support them.
Sure.
From what I hear, this site can already start operating.
Exactly, yes.
We just need to engage the taxi association,
yes.
so they believe that we're going to still go on the other
Yes.
side. Let's allow the community to have access to this site.
Yes.
While
That's all we ask.
Yes.
That will be brilliant. Yes.
And in another 2 months, the other side will be ready as well.
Yes.
And then the whole place is operating.
So the delay is essentially just the process of procurement to add that. So it could have been, yeah.
We do not communicate with the community. We have this
Yeah.
type of glitches where the whole community is up in arms and creates, uncomfortable situations where we have to face up to the community with these type of challenges that we're having. So we're pleading with you that, immediately engage with the taxi association, resolve the situation, because this situation can get out of control with the community, with the taxi association and the informal traders standing the way it is.
Let's plan an engagement with the community as well.
Yes.
No, but I think also the informal traders must also be invited in this
Yes. Correct. Yeah. Thank you.
But also, the last time we were here, there was a holding area that was also in dispute, and I believe that the JDA tried to also engage the ward councillor because the taxis couldn't stay here. They had to be in a particular holding area, which was another concern, which also delay. So I would also then plead with you, councillor, that when the JDA is asking for those engagements, for example, let's we can't have a blame game, because a lot of this started before we started. They're trying to fix, like the executive mayor is saying, they're trying to fix a mess that was not created by us. So we're trying to fix it, and if there's extra procurement needed, procurement doesn't take overnight. Proper processes need to be followed. So procurement needs to be done. They're now adding, as per demand from some of those taxi associations, to say, the taxis are saying, we're not going to come here because then you're not going to fix that site, basically, in essence. And they are in a holding area. They said, we're going to be in that holding area, but you're not going to use this until that site is fixed. So basically, we are trying to fix what was not there before, and it costs money. So I'm going to plead with you to talk to your residents as well. And I commit myself, you've got my number, to be able to communicate, and we'll get there's informal trading stalls here, which, this is a turnkey project that was initiated by the JDA to try and upgrade this facility. There were issues the last time I was here, there were tap issues that I had asked them to stop, because I wasn't happy with the workmanship. As having somebody I've worked in construction, and when I go on the site and I see something doesn't add up, I've asked the team, stop it and fix it properly. So I must also take the blame for saying, fix it, we can't give mediocre things to our people. And so I just want to plead with you also, make yourself available. I'm happy to come through. We'll have the engagement with the informal traders, and I'm sure the mayor will come through as well to talk to the residents. Thank you so much.
So in response to that,
just going to do a quick media thing and then we're going to move.
All right, so Masego, that was just a quick engagement that the mayor had with the MMC for Transport, Belinda. But I think Mayor Mpho Phalatse will be giving us a media briefing just now to speak to us regarding the engagement and the walkabout, of course, him being tagged by the spokesperson, Mabine Siabe. Mayor, thank you very much for joining us on eNCA this midday. Maybe perhaps if you can just give us, your opening remarks regarding what you've seen. You've been in Indonesia, you've embarked on a walkabout, you've communicated with some of the various stakeholders, councillors, members of the communities. They've raised their concerns regarding issues of service delivery, one of which is this taxi rank, which allegedly has been idle for a while, hasn't been used. What have you picked up?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Yes, I am in Region G with MMCs that could make it. Quite a few MMCs here today. We've been going through a lot as a city. We've been focusing on the politics and trying to keep the administration going. We really feel that our residents are the ones who are suffering, and we'd like to be more on the ground, and that's why we're here. We're here to engage not only with residents but with officials as well. We've got some councillors here as well to see what their challenges are on the ground and what it is that they require from the executive. We will be fast-tracking some of the issues that we're picking up here today, fast-tracking resolution. We've done a walkabout in the area after, of course, listening to officials telling us the various issues, and the MMCs have committed to addressing those. We've gone into the library, we've gone into the clinic, we're now at the taxi rank. This is a holding facility for taxis that has been under construction by the JDA for some time, and residents are quite concerned that it's not being commissioned and it's not being utilized. We did find out what the issue is. It's actually the taxi association that does not want to move in because they've asked for additional work to be done on the other side. That wasn't part of the original scope. Of course, this administration was not part of the original scoping. We found this underway and we're trying to fix this mess. I have asked MMC to engage the MMC for Transport so they can engage the taxi association and look at the possibility of starting to utilize the side of the taxi rank that is functional while we're taking care of the other side. The JDA did assure us that in 2 months' time it will be done as well, and residents can enjoy this facility. As you can see, it connects the city not only to other parts of the city but externally as well, so it's quite an important transport hub. Region G needs to be connected to opportunities through transport, so we really need to invest heavily in transport in this region while we seek to grow the economy and create jobs, because there's unemployment in this region, about 42% unemployment rate. It's got the highest unemployment rate in the city, and having transport facilities available is part of solving the problem. But of course, ultimately you want business and investment to come into the region so people can work close to where they live. So this is for us quite a priority, and I'm glad to hear the commitment from MMC. MMC Transport isn't here, but I'm sure he'll also be joining hands with MMC to ensure that we commission this as soon as possible.
Now, at the heartbeat of this, of course, is service delivery. Residents are tired of the political squabbling in the city. You're facing a possible motion to have you asked it again from the minority parties. Are you hopeful that you will emerge victorious, particularly what we saw in Ekurhuleni with your colleague emerging victorious? But in Ekurhuleni, residents are suffering as well. No service delivery, waste hasn't been collected. We are seeing this in Johannesburg. Community members of El Dorado Park, community members of Lenasia, it's a problem. Do you think that you will survive this motion of no confidence that will be tabled against you come the 23rd?
We were out of office for 25 days. In that 25 days, a lot went wrong. We saw a regression of a lot of the good work that was ongoing. So we're also concerned. Not only are residents concerned, the multi-party government is concerned about time lost, and we're playing catch-up now, and that's why you're seeing us on the ground working so hard. How do I feel about the motion? Politics is very interesting. I've always said, in politics, things change all the time. We saw yesterday a breakdown in the marriage between the ANC and the EFF in Ekurhuleni. We know that it was that same marriage that facilitated some of the turbulence in Johannesburg over the last few weeks. The breakdown in Ekurhuleni is signaling a potential breakdown in that same relationship in the city of Johannesburg. So yes, as we stand here, we are hopeful that we will remain in office and that we will not be ousted in a motion of no confidence. In the meantime, we really want to focus on service delivery. We've been fighting political battles for far too long. It takes away so much of our time, so much of our residents' time. We want to focus on our residents, and that's why we're here. We're going to be on the ground more. We'll be in the regions more. We've got a whole regional program planned out. We want to be here to service our residents. That's why we're here.
Have you struck a deal in Johannesburg?
No, we've not struck a deal. The coalition is intact in Johannesburg. We are a minority government. We're going to go into council as a minority government. We will reach out to all political parties as we should. There are ANC wards in the city. There are PA wards in the city. We must work with everybody, and that's how we're going to proceed.
Your spokesperson is signaling you have to go right now, but just this question as well. You've come on the spotlight for this allegation of your relationship and proximity to a company called Nexus, which of course was looking into the investigation of former CM Mr. Floyd Brink. Are you aware about this? Are you close to this company? What was the relationship with this company?
I do not have a relationship with Nexus. I do not know who they are. This was a complete misrepresentation of facts. In fact, one version of the story was told to drive a certain narrative. I did say in the media that this letter was retracted. It was an incorrect interpretation of a council resolution that led to that letter. In fact, my desire was to see the SIU investigate this particular matter. Why? Because there's been so much interference with the legal panel in the city that conducts investigations. GFIS was not supported in procuring its own panel of investigators. They were made to rely on the legal panel, and that was by design, so that this panel could be managed and cases could be managed. And it was my desire to see the SIU investigate this matter that was looking into the conduct of the acting city manager, the previous acting city manager, to eliminate any possibility of interference either by politicians or by officials in the city or this legal panel. Unfortunately, I was told that the SIU requires presidential proclamation. The process is quite complex, but however, that there is a company that the SIU normally uses and that we can access them through the panel. But when we looked at the council resolution and we reinterpreted it, we realized actually my role was supposed to be more oversight, and I should allow the city manager to then decide on how the investigation would proceed. And I then issued a retraction not long after the original letter was issued. I don't know who Nexus is, and you can ask them as well. I have no dealings with them. My interest was justice and independence as per the council resolution that authorized the executive mayor to ensure that an independent investigation is processed by the city.
You're not interfering. You don't interfere.
No. I don't know who Nexus is. I have no relationship with Nexus. I'm happy for it to be investigated. I really wanted the SIU outside of the city of Johannesburg to handle this particular matter.
Mayor, all the best. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
That's the Johannesburg Mayor Mpho Phalatse. They're just giving us a brief explanation regarding her future as the Johannesburg Mayor. I must apologize for taking most of the time, but I mean, we need to understand what is the political stability looking like in the city of Johannesburg, because at the center of this are residents. I mean, you heard one of the councillors saying, residents are fed up with the kind of political squabbling in the metro. All they want is services, nothing more, just service delivery. But the mayor saying that she is, of course, with the party represented DA, consulting with various parties in the city of Johannesburg to ensure her future is safe in the city of Johannesburg, but also is saying that she's quite confident she will survive this motion come month end when the minority parties try to oust her out of office.